All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we are discussing TRIAS, one of my favorite projects personally. We're going to walk through some recent news, some chart analysis, and price predictions. So let's hop right in. First, I wanted to start out by talking a little bit about the recent roadmap release in February 2022 and why this is important. If you don't understand what TRIAS does, or just a brief background, basically you can think of it as a layer 0. So where Ethereum's a layer 1, you build dApps on top of it. TRIAS is a layer 0 where you can actually develop networks on top of it. So you can see right here they have their three main networks right now, which is Triathon, Ethereum, and Tusima, which these two we'll talk about in just briefly in a little bit. And then throughout 2022, you can see that they're going to actually be developing more and more networks, all with real world applicability and real use cases. So Divina will be coming in the next 3 months. That's a application and on-chain development developer open source platform. Behemothum is going to be coming. That is a data management security platform, which will help leverage blockchain features for developers and users. And then we have Leviathan, which is actually a consensus layer that helps with hardware and public chain for consensus services. And then we have Octavius, which will be released in Q1 of next year. And this is really interesting because it's going to be a business logic layer application chain for enterprises. So they're targeting, real businesses, not just in crypto, right? They picture serious Fortune 500 companies using their platform. And that means more money, obviously, more volume, and a higher token price for TRIAS. So very, very exciting. Love the well done roadmap. Love that there's a lot to come. Gets me really excited. Other thing I want to just briefly touch on, if you don't have TRIAS background, why would people use this, right? Well, first of all, 100,000 transactions per second as compared to a lot of the competitors, that aren't even close. In my opinion, to kind of boil this down, these two are some of the most important aspects in terms of the ability to scale this platform and the ability for it to be adopted. So a general software API, that is as simple as, your APIs that you see between Coinbase and your bank, between particular softwares when you're logging into Instagram and, integrating that with another platform. So to make it that easy and not have to use Scala or C++ or Pact, that makes it extremely attractive for non-native crypto users, meaning that their market, their total addressable market, can be much larger than some of these competitors. So in the interest of time, that's kind of what I wanted to cover here, but just great to keep that in the back of your mind. So now hopping into some more recent news, just in the last week, one of the top 20 most mentioned tokens on social media, that is definitely big time. I haven't seen TRIAS mentioned in this kind of top 20 for quite some time, which means that it's actually getting some traction, which is great. It's up here with some strong projects like Strong, Metis, Cody, a lot of these really, really viral coins. So it's good to see that it's finally getting some recognition and some traction on social. Other thing I wanted to notice, and this may not seem, very impressive, right? Top 30 metaverse projects. But the thing to note is that TRIAS recently got involved in, becoming a metaverse project, right? So they're just starting to expand into Ethereum and these other networks, other applications that are going to be metaverse focused projects. So the fact that they're growing this quickly and have this exposure to being in the metaverse sphere and to being known as a metaverse token is huge, given how recent they actually started on kind of their metaverse arm and their metaverse endeavors, right? So to me, that's really, really impressive. And the other thing, just want to quickly touch on Ethereum. This is kind of going to be a mechanism for people to design their own metaverse. And so this is going to sit on top of TRIAS. This is just one of those networks. We saw that in the roadmap. Just wanted to touch on the fact that, this is possible on TRIAS and how unique this is with a project. The other cool thing that has been built and is being built on TRIAS is Tusima. This is going to be a private transaction network. So this is really interesting because it's not going to need any, it's going to be a proof-free consensus essentially. So it's as private as it gets, and it's going to be easy peer-to-peer private transaction network. So really interesting to see how these applications and networks evolve on top of TRIAS. But now going into the charts, just want to touch on a couple quick things. Obviously, we had this crazy 70 to 80% retracement since last November. Yeah, well, closer to 90%. And now we're kind of in this phase where we're trying to, reestablish some bullish structure, right? I mean, long-term wise, we're looking not the, I mean, we're still relatively have a bullish structure in terms of the trend line there. But we barely tapped that here back in late March. So definitely still maintain that bullish structure, just barely on a long-term perspective. But in terms of what's happening now and why these, next few weeks are really, really critical for TRIAS is because we are coming up on an opportunity to flip this previous resistance into support, which we're currently attempting to do. It's a good chance that we're going to bounce between these two for a little bit before deciding whether we're going to break below or break above. And obviously, a lot of this depends on what's going on with inflation, Russia, Ukraine. The recent CPI report came out and inflation's at 8.5%, the highest in 40 years. Not great news. So we're battling a lot of macro headwinds. But at the same time, it is great to see that TRIAS looks like it's about to flip this previous resistance at about $5 into support here. So we just need a couple more daily candles to kind of close that in. Looks like we're also trying to stand on top of that 100-day moving average, as you can see right there. So that's kind of coinciding with that resistance, with that support that we're trying to flip. So really interesting there. I think that this could be a really, really key point for TRIAS in our ability to kind of make an official turn to the upside, because we've had some trouble here, right? We've been struggling from $3 up to $7, but we've made that slow run back. So it's been great to see. And then over here, once we kind of flip this, let's say we flip this, right? Previous resistance into support, and now we're playing in this channel. We have this kind of really, really established neckline at about between $7 and $8, right here, essentially. And why this is so important, why I think it's going to be such a critical point for TRIAS and probably hard to break, is because if you see back here, it was our previous support before we went absolutely buck wild and went from $6.50 all the way up to our all-time high of 27.30, or not all-time high, our previous all-time high of 27. And so why that's so important is because we validated it here, but then invalidated it on our way back down in this retracement. So this neckline in this position, you can see rejection technically again, and now we're probably going to have to bounce off of this support, come up here and try to hit it again. But that is why it's been such a tough resistance to crack, is because we validated it back here, invalidated it here, and now we need to reprove that we belong above that resistance level. So that neckline is going to be a massive resistance point, and that is right, between 7 and 750. So that's definitely a spot for everyone to be watching. What does make me somewhat bullish is that we haven't been under the 100-day moving average for this long in a while. So we were under the 100-day moving average back here June to August of last year for about 50 days. Now, if we're looking at the chart, we've been under the 100-day for almost 3 times, a little more than 2 times that. So 116, 120 days. And now we just broke above it. And now we're trying to stand on that 100-day. If we do flip above the 100-day and at the same time flip above this previous resistance, that could be super bullish as well. Obviously, at the same time, with how much macro bad news is going on, you really never know. But let's look at some specific targets here on the fib and just get a quick idea of where we could be headed. So I think once we break above this critical neckline that we've been talking about, our target above that is going to be 870. So that's right here, this red line. 870 is going to be our next target. We'll probably see some resistance there. And then after 870, given that we're going to have another critical neckline to break. If you can see here, if I extend, let me get off my marker here. If I extend this line, you're going to see that this before was a critical resistance level, both here and here. And we finally broke it and then headed for that most recent all-time high up at $27. So it's going to be somewhat the same here, where it's going to be difficult to crack this resistance, same with this resistance. So given that we need to break that neckline, We're going to see some resistance there at about 1060, and then we're going to try to push for 1220. But in terms of super short term, I think we need to be looking between $8.50 and $8.70. Would love to get to this fib, as soon as possible. That'd be really, really solid in terms of our ability to actually officially make a U-turn and finally look bullish again overall. But at the same time, kind of reeling in expectations, we have to understand that it is, very likely that we just end up playing somewhere down here for a while and consolidate more and more. It is really, really surprising to see how well TRIAS has performed against Bitcoin. So that's definitely encouraging. But at the same time, we have to, again, take into account those macro headwinds. In terms of long term, let's just really, really quickly look at our top fib target. I think at this point we have to go off that. I'm hearing a lot of crazy, 4-digit TRIAS predictions, but I think we just need to level set and get a little bit more realistic and say, in terms of our super long-term target, I'm looking at around $100, 105. I think that this is going to be, first of all, 100 is going to be a huge psychological resistance point. I think once we get above $100, we might see some sort of sell off, right? I mean, it's really hard. We're really projecting into the future, but a lot of people have that as their sell target. So it'll be interesting to see. A lot of people are watching for $100 TRIAS. It's been talked about quite a bit if you're following the project, but at the same time, we need to be relatively realistic in terms of our ability to reach there. I don't think it's coming for some time. And when I mean some time, we could be talking years. Really don't know. I think our focus right now at the end of 2022 is to, at best, we need to be playing between 27 and 41. I think that's our absolute best chance at the end of 2022. And that's with some hopium in there as well. I think realistically for 2022, we want to see ourselves break these two necklines and establish support right here above, right around $13, $12. So if we can establish support and it can establish a solid range between these two fibs, I think that's a really, really solid end of 2022. Now, a lot of people may find that disappointing. I think it's rather realistic. So end of 2022, I'm kind of hoping for a $12 to $15 play with TRIAS, but at the same time, I'm super bullish, super long-term on this project, and I will be hodling. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys got some value. And let me know if you want me to cover other projects in the comments. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much.